So today let's begin with the operating system basics, like what is an operating system, just to know the difference between Linux and Windows, the basic differences, and we'll get started with the Linux basics. So that is the agenda of today's topic. So like we all know what is an operating system, right? We all are using something or the other. Just 1 second, please. So operating system works like an interface between the user and the computer hardware, right? Let's say you have bought some laptop. Definitely you need some media to work with the applications, right? Let's suppose you want to do some painting. You need to launch or install, configure the operating system, set up the OS first so that it works as a media to launch your applications. And when your applications are running, we need to allocate the resources to the applications, right? So all of this should be handled with an operating system. Every system must have at least one operating system to run these applications, right? So not only just it works like a connectivity, it does a lot of things like resource utilization, memory handling. When some applications are idle, it will shift the resources consumed by this application to others, right? So all of this management would be done by an operating system, and yeah. So all these applications would need some environment to run and perform its tasks. That's where an operating system comes in. So in short, it works like a communication. It works like an interface or a media between the user and the hardware, right? So that we can work with our application. That's what is an operating system, which every one of us might be using something or the other. And of course, when we say this operating system does all of that resource handling, memory allocation, resource handling, resource management, and the communication and all, when we talk about that, kernel is the one which takes care of all of this. OS in the sense, in general, we were saying it's OS. The actual component which does all of this is the kernel. It's the core component or central component of the operating system, which makes the communication possible between the hardware and the software. And it uses monolithic kernel which consumes more space, whereas Windows uses the microkernel which takes less space but lowers the system running efficiency than Linux. Like Linux uses monolithic kernel. Again, in these kernels there are different types, right? Linux operating systems uses monolithic kernel, whereas the microkernel, Windows uses microkernel which consumes less space, but that makes the system work slow as well. So there are different kernels which makes the operating system and which makes the operating system stand as is. So for efficiency and faster processing, for security, we use the Linux operating systems which use monolithic kernels, and obviously microkernels are slow in performance and efficiency. So that's a general categorization of the kernels, and that makes the differences as well obvious between Linux and Windows. Like we know, Linux is an open source and it's free to use, whereas Windows we have to purchase the license and it's not free. And in Linux, file system is case sensitive, like caps letters. Like if you give the folder name with caps, that's different with the small ones, right? But in Windows, it's case insensitive, And Linux uses monolithic kernel, Windows uses microkernel. Linux is more efficient in operations as compared to Windows. The main difference it makes is with the UI, I mean GUI, graphical user interface. All the Windows systems have the GUI, graphical user interface, but that's not the case with Linux. Linux majority doesn't have GUI, right? Only Ubuntu has the GUI, that too limited. But majority of the times we have CLI for Linux systems, right? Command line interface. And working with the command line interface would be definitely more efficient and more faster because the UI consumes a lot of resources. The graphical user interface is heavy and it consumes many resources. Majority of the resources should be allocated to that as well. So that makes one of the most difference, which is very obvious. And in Linux, it uses forward slashes or a path separator between the directories, whereas in Windows it uses backward slashes. You might be understanding this by now, like the backward slash and forward slash. We would also see now, we would get into the hands-on and you could see these differences. In the path, the slashes also are different in Windows and Linux, right? In Windows, when you mark it as a forward slash, in Windows, you have it as a backward slashes. And security wise, Linux is highly secure system as compared to Windows. Windows provides less security as compared to Linux. Like Linux are less vulnerable for thefts, attacks, or for virus attacks, kind of. And it's contrast to Windows. So that's another difference between Linux and Windows. These differences are one of the reasons for using Linux for DevOps, right? We are implementing CI/CD pipelines and we want to have these pipelines efficient, running on efficient servers and all. So this is the reason where Linux is used. And another reason is like we discussed in the day one, like majority of the tools needs Linux environment. Like Ansible controller machine need Linux, Prometheus server need Linux. And Kubernetes Docker is basically for Linux. Of course, now we have Docker for Windows also. You have Kubernetes for Windows nodes as well, but they are native for Linux, right? So that's the reason we need to know Linux to learn DevOps. You need to know Linux in a sense, you need to know the basics, like at least working with the file system, managing files and folders. These basics one should have, right? And the rest of the things are not mandatory, like going into in-depth of shell scripting or Linux administration. No, we don't do all of that. And maybe if you see some job descriptions which demands that, it means it's not a pure DevOps. They are looking for a person with automation from Linux background. So JDs differ, and that is not for DevOps. But that would be into the DevOps role in the job description and all. Anyhow, so in this course, we'll be learning the basics, like how do you work with the file system, how do you work with the Linux operating system comfortably, and we'll be learning Linux commands throughout the course. That's spread across. But first, we'll get some path, we'll get some base ready. So let's begin with that. Any questions before we proceed? Okay. Considering it has no questions, let's get to Linux for DevOps. Like I said, the reasons why we use Linux for DevOps. So let's get to the understanding of Linux platform. Now I would like to ask you, how many are new to Linux? New in the sense, just I need the basics. How many are like even completely newbie? How many don't have the very basics as well?
I don't have.
Who is that? Sachin? And
Chandra.
okay, Sachin, Chandra, and anyone? Okay,
I'm also new. Rashmi here.
okay, right. No worries. We will get started with the very basics, and this will help you to work with operating systems. And I would like to tell you here, like we are all using Windows, let's say, right? We open the folders, create the folders, copy the files, delete them. These are the simple file system navigations, right? So for this, actually, you don't need any training, whether it is Windows or Linux. As you keep using this new environment, you get used to it. It's just another environment, that's all. Being said that, we'll go through all those basics, but that's heads up, like you can, as you keep using it, you get used to it. That's what we want here. So, okay, fine. We need Linux for DevOps. We are ready to learn it. How do we learn it? Like I'm having a Windows laptop or a Linux, sorry, or a Mac. So how do I have Linux, Windows now? Sorry, I'm sorry. How do we have Linux now? My personal laptop is Windows. How do I learn DevOps? Of course, we may learn it on cloud, but let's assume, okay, we want to learn on my own laptop. I want to configure Linux. How is that possible? Let's say mine is Windows laptop. Should I uninstall that Windows and install Linux? Or should I buy another laptop? What are your suggestions?
We need to install some VM or something in our local laptop, like Hyper-V or something. There
We
you can.
also have Windows subsystem for Linux. So
Okay,
we-
okay. Yeah, cool. So we can use some concept called virtualization. What is this virtualization? Virtualization uses software to create an abstraction layer or computer hardware that allows the hardware elements of a single computer, processors, memory, storage, and more, to be divided into complete virtual computers, commonly called virtual machines. So let's leave all of that definition. Virtualization or virtual machines, majority of you might have heard it or might have used it if you are like back from, like, if you are into IT or if you are into this from more than 10 years, I believe you might be having experience or used these things. Anyone who used VMs? Anyone here who used the VMs?
Yes, yes, I used, and Hyper-V also I used.
Okay, you are more than 10 years experience person, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Correct. Anyone else?
I also use VM.
Right. Okay. You're right. So that's back like beyond 10 years, I would say, because after that we have cloud and we were using instance of cloud. But yeah, virtualization is nothing but we will be running a virtual machine on our own laptop. Our laptop might be Mac or Windows or whatever or Linux. On top of it, we will run a virtual machine, right? What is a virtual machine and all we'll see. See here, this is how it is. Um, So this is the hardware of my laptop. Let's say this is my laptop, my Mac, and this is the hardware. So let's suppose I want a Linux. I want to learn. Let's suppose this is my Windows laptop. Okay, now I want to have Linux operating system on this Windows, right? It would be running as a virtual machine. So this is actual Windows. This is hardware, and this is Windows. Host operating system is my own operating system. This is the hardware. Now, I want to run a Windows VM or a Linux VM for learning DevOps. Again, in different versions of Linux, I need different distributions or different versions of Linux, or else some other Windows operating system 2022. Let's say this is 20, I mean, this is 2011, right? So I need different operating systems. So I will launch this VMs. VM is nothing but again another machine like your Windows. It can start, it can shut down. It just works like a normal operating system, but which sits above the host operating system. Every VM will have its own operating system, which is called as a guest operating system. This is the guest operating system. This is the host operating system. But how do you launch the VMs? How do you create the VMs? That's where this hypervisor comes in. Hypervisor is a software with which you can create a VM, with which you can launch a VM. That's what is hypervisor. Hypervisor is a software with which you can launch, with which you can uh, mm, run the VM, right? Like when you create a VM, you need to allocate resources like memory and CPU. All of that would be taken care by hypervisor. What are the examples of hypervisor? It's a software, VMware, VM Workstation, Hyper-V, ESXi, Oracle VirtualBox. These are all the different examples of hypervisor. Correct? So it provides you an interface so that you can allocate memory, CPU to your VMs, you can allocate the operating system, and that's how you launch the VM. Correct? So this is the trend some years back, like we used to run some VMs in our own laptop. In my own laptop, I can launch a Linux VM, and that's where I learned DevOps. So even, okay, what are the drawbacks? What are the problems with this? You need to expand your memory and CPU, right? Like let's suppose this host, my hardware has got some 20 CPU or 20 GB of memory. Out of it, each VM, because VMs are huge and heavy because they have their own operating system, right? They maybe consume majority of them. If they consume majority of them, like 10 GB each, there's nothing left for operating system. It may crash. So you should see that you have minimum resources available here, and then you allocate the rest here, maybe 7 GB here and 7 GB here. Right? Of course, let's say you want to launch another VM, definitely you need to expand your resources, which is again expensive. Am I correct? So it's going to be expensive. You have to extend your resources on your personal laptop to accommodate more virtual machines, or to have smooth running high performance. You need to have buffer resources available on your main operating system, which is expensive. Limitations on CPU and memory. And let's say if this VM got crashed, you need to take care of its backup, recovery, maintenance is huge. Overall, I would say a lot of maintenance overhead. Correct? So these are all the challenges you have if you manage your own virtual machines, and this I'm talking about our personal usage. I want to learn some codes, I want to learn some technology, I have to accommodate these with the VMs, right? So that's a challenge we have. And in the same VMs, you have different kind of architecture, which is called bare metal kind of architecture. The difference between these two is host operating system is missing. This hosted architecture is for personal usage. Like for my personal learning, if I want, I may set up this in my laptop. Commercial, like in organizations, companies will use this type of architecture. It's called bare metal architecture. There'll be no host operating system. There'll be huge hardware, a physical server on which they will launch multiple VMs. But whatever it is, the drawbacks are same. Means the limitations or the challenges are same. Meaning these are same, even it's a company or if it is your personal purpose, right? Also in companies there should be a separate team managed to maintain this VMs, right? There will be a separate admin team who will manage this, because let's say you are using this virtual machine 5 hours a day, but it should be managed for the entire day, right? It should be backed up, it should be taken care during disasters, for recovery, backup, all of that should be taken care by. Correct? So a separate team should be there which is making it further advanced. So even companies uses this kind of architecture, virtual machine architecture, but it's a bare metal architecture, and these are the challenges we have. Am I clear with these challenges, everyone? Whoever are new to VMs, everyone, are we good? So how do we overcome this? Maintenance overhead, particularly, and expensive with respect to the teams, for the companies, or with respect to the resources, for even for personal usage. These are all overhead, right? Um, so companies, like they used to have their own data center with this kind of setup, but now, like for personal purpose, if you need any VMs, we are using something called cloud. Even organizations are not having their own data centers, rather they are moving to cloud. What is meant by cloud? That's where cloud computing comes in. On-demand computing resources delivered to us over the internet is called cloud. It's a self-service and it is metered. Means Cloud is nothing but like online, you can avail all these resources delivered with a single click, right? Like you don't need a separate team to create these VMs. Let's suppose it's for personal purpose. I don't want to do this on my laptop because my laptop will be having a crunch of resources after doing this. I don't want to do that. I don't want to allocate resource of my laptop. Rather, I'll go to cloud and I'll order some VMs from there, right? And it is self-service. Yes, you can go and do it. It's metered. You will be charged for only what you have used. Let's suppose I have used this virtual machine for 2 hours. You have to pay only for 2 hours, not for the rest of the day of your maintenance and all, right? So that's what is cloud. Even our companies, they are not having their own data centers now. Rather, they are having data centers on cloud. Means cloud is nothing but again an organization where they have some physical servers, right? Let's take AWS, Amazon Web Services. They have their own data centers, huge data centers, like huge size of the data centers, which are spread across the globe. They have physical data centers, right? Which are spread across the world, across the globe, and companies were renting those services, right? They were using the resources or the servers of AWS which are on someone else's data center. Means we can consider cloud as using resources like VMs, whatever, the VMs, the databases, whatnot, everything which are hosted on someone else's data center. That someone else is nothing but AWS. AWS has got its own data center. On those data centers, certain resources will be allocated to these companies or not. Of course, there will be service level agreement regarding to maintenance and all of it, and that's how they are, right? So that's what is cloud. Even companies now, they don't need to manage a separate team, right? They can just order from the from the online management system, like from the portal. They could order it. It's a self-service. It's metered. They have to pay only for what they have used. So keeping all these benefits in mind, companies are moving to cloud. Like they are not having their own data centers. They are not managing their own data centers, rather moving to, like they are renting the resources from which are running on someone else's data center, which is cloud. And that's a very basic intro about cloud, what it is. And there were so many cloud providers and which are emerging even daily. Like the famous ones are AWS, Azure, GCP, Linode, DigitalOcean. You have so many cloud providers. Out of all of that, AWS is definitely very huge with respect to size. It is 6 times, its capacity is 6 times huge than all other cloud providers put together. You can imagine how huge it is, and it has got huge number of AWS services, like as of now more than 200 plus, which is again huge when compared to others. Like AWS services means you have service for everything. Like if you need a database on AWS on cloud, yes, you have a service for it. If you need a virtual machine, yes, you have a service for it. If you need something serverless, yes, you have a service for it on AWS. If you need a Kubernetes management on AWS, yes, you have a service for it. Right? So that's what our services. Services are like different features or different provisions AWS has for us, like RDS, which is a database service, EC2, which is a virtual machine service kind of. Or if you need something storage, you have S3 storage buckets. Or if you need something serverless instances, we have Lambdas. If you need some Kubernetes, like high availability, load balancing and all, you have EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Service, right? Whatnot, you have a service for everything you need. We'll be getting exposed to them, whichever we need from a DevOps perspective. So, and this is a graph from 2021. You can also check the latest graph from Google Trends to compare the cloud providers. So AWS is too widely used and we are going with it. And again, I would definitely know and I would like to answer the questions which people have. I have a job description saying Azure and DevOps. Will I be applicable for it? Can I learn it? Am I like would I be eligible for it? when I take up this course. Right here, we are learning cloud provider AWS. All the cloud providers would be similar and will have the analogy. They'll have the same analogy, right? The concepts would be similar, analogy would be similar, being said that you can get switch to other clouds very easily. If you know one cloud, you can switch to other clouds easily. That's the expectation, right? That's what even organizations are expecting, because like they are not looking for people who know AWS, Azure and all, because that's not possible. You should know one cloud, so that they are expecting they can switch to other clouds, because tomorrow another new cloud may come up, we never know. So that's what organizations would prefer for, right? Just give me a second. Latest trend which I have explored now, AWS, if you see, the blue one is AWS, right? Which is very widely used. And Oracle Cloud, right? You can see here the how well they were used, right? AWS still trending. But like I said, you shouldn't rely, okay, I know AWS, I'll apply only for AWS. Unless they have specifications, definitely they need only those. Like you should be going with any cloud, right? So that should be the expectations. So that is about the different cloud providers. Now we'll go for AWS, create some free account for AWS for our learning, and then we'll get started with our um, labs, right? So let's begin. Any questions you have? Let's go and create a free account. Have you all created a free account here? If so, we can log in and get started. Creating a free account, I have shown you in the last class, like I have given you some idea on how to create a free account. Again, I'm showing you, go to this, create a free account on it. See, I have these links shared with you already on the LMS. But again, I'm showing you because these links will change. You should know how to browse, how to search for these things. That's the reason you should progress this way. So put some email ID, like some Gmail ID preferably, and some account name, and verify and go on creating a free account. Like I said, it will take some 6 steps in the wizard, and it will be asking for credit card or debit card details. You should provide them for checking your validity as a human, right? And for genuinity, it will check the credit card or debit card details, where like 1 or 2 rupees might be deducted and they'll be credited back. So that's what you should do. Once you have created an account, you can log in. Enable two-factor authorization. So once you log in, so you would be seeing the dashboard kind of. Just go here and search for EC2. EC2 means Elastic Computing Cloud Service. It's nothing but a service similar to VMs. Even GCP or Azure have these things. And so yeah, they have different names, like it's called Virtual Machine Service on GCP, it's called EC2 here, and so on. So I don't have any resources, I mean no instances running. Instance is nothing but a virtual machine. Now I can create a Linux virtual machine so that I can learn my DevOps. So let's go and create an instance. So how do you do that? Click on this, and before that, this is your account, right? You have signed in with the root user. Another thing is, if you click this drop down, you will see regions. These are nothing but physical data centers of AWS. Like I was telling, AWS is having its own physical data centers, right? Now companies are renting over those physical data centers. So these are all the regions where AWS has got its own physical data centers, and these are called regions in AWS. These are all the different regions, and you should choose the region which is nearer to you to avoid lag and latency. Like if you are from US, you should be using some of these which is nearer to you, right? So accordingly, if you're from Europe, you should be choosing them and all. So I'm choosing this Mumbai, which is nearer to me. There is also Hyderabad. You can go for managed regions and get the one. We have it in Hyderabad as well. Those are all enabled. If you need any other regions, you can connect and you can raise a request. Okay, only these are enabled for me. I have, yeah, it's there. Hyderabad is there. Do you see that? Some of the regions are enabled by default, some of them are not. See, these are all enabled ones. Actually, these are all enabled by default, and Hyderabad is not enabled by default. If we want, we can enable it. See, select here and enable it. That's how you can enable other regions. Some of them are enabled by default. Anyway, I'm going with the ones which is enabled by default, which is Mumbai region. Right, let's go to the EC2 service again. So I am choosing Mumbai. Now launch the instance. Your instance will be created in this Mumbai region. Means your virtual machine will be created, which is running on the data center in Mumbai. That's the meaning of it. So you may give some name. I'm giving name as demo to my EC2 instance, means to my virtual machine, and which kind of operating system you need. So that's where you can choose application and OS image, which is called Amazon Machine Image. In short, it's called AMI. So you can choose either Linux or Mac VM, you need Ubuntu or Windows, different distributions on Windows. You can have all of that, right? You can choose your operating system. Anyway, so I'm going with the Linux. Okay, I'm going with Linux. Again, when you choose this Amazon Linux, you will see a drop down here, right? Again, different distributions of Linux. If anyone new to Linux, let me tell you, there will be something called distributions in Linux. Like you have versions in Windows. You have Windows 2010 or 2011 kind of, right? Similarly, you have distributions in Linux. And we are using this distribution called Amazon Linux 2. Listen here carefully. Don't choose 2023. Choose Amazon Linux 2. This is CentOS Red Hat based one, which is very widely used in the real time as well. So you choose this. This is actually CentOS Linux based operating system, which is provided by Amazon itself. So choose this one and scroll down. You will be showing instance type. Instance type is about how many virtual CPUs, how many gigs of memory it's offering. And we should be choosing something which is free tier eligible, which is T2.micro. This is free tier eligible one. T2 micro is a free tier eligible one. So you would not be paying anything for it. So choose this one which has one CPU and 1 gigs of memory, which is quite good enough. And then the key pair login. Like the key pair login, you can choose here as well. What is this key pair, first of all? See, the key pair is, this is actually a Linux concept. We'll cover it maybe tomorrow. For now, just understand this is needed to connect to your system. You are creating a virtual machine, but you need to connect to it, right? So for this, you need a key pair. For the first time, you can go for a new key pair and give the name as some name like demo, and it will download some .pem file. Let's do that. See, do you see it is downloaded? It's very important. You need to save it. To connect to this operating system, this is needed. The concept behind this, what is the spam file, and we will learn it in the next class. So, but now just understand that you need to create and download it. And you can leave rest of the configuration as it is and launch the instance. It says instance is launched. You may go and see all instances. These are the other instances which I have created earlier. You may set a filter as running, so you will see only the ones that's running. It's running T2 micro, status is initializing. It is created in Mumbai region. Mumbai region is AP South 1. Within the region, again, you'll have availability zones, which is South 1B. We will talk about the availability zones a little later. And it has got some public IP, the DNS, public DNS and public IP, and also it will have the internal IPs. All right, and if you select it, you will see all the information in detail at the bottom. And the key pair that's been used. Key pair name is demo. I have given the key pair name also as a demo. See, this is the key pair. Okay, instance is created. Perfect. May I know where is this instance running? Where is this virtual machine running? Is it running on my Windows? Where is this one running? It's running on AWS. It's running on someone else cloud, someone else data center, right? Which is AWS here. It's running on AWS data center. I believe this is clear for all of you.
Yes.
So now, okay, fine. Instance is ready. We want to do hands on how do we connect with it. Again, I would like to know, anyone new to these steps, or are you all using AWS? So that I would know like with what depth I should go. Are you all good and comfortable using this, or new to AWS, anyone launching instance and all?
I'm new to AWS.
Okay.
I'm new to as well.
Okay, no problem. All right then. So, okay, we have the instance. Let's connect to it. You can connect to it in different ways. I'll show you all those different ways. First way is click on this connect. See, these are the different ways you would see. First, let's go to instance connect. Instance connect is a browser-based connect. Means you can just say here connect. You will be having a terminal launched here itself. See, this is the prompt you got. Now, this is nothing but your Linux operating system. You can run any Linux commands here. Right? Simple. Now you can create the directories using make dir, whatever. You can do anything here. I got connected. This is the simplest, quick, easiest way, but it has got limitations. You may not be using this in the real time, because to use it, you need to have the console access. Console means this is the AWS management console. You should have access to it. Most of the times, you may not be having access to this UI, this interface. So then how do you connect? Another way is come here, go to SH client. Here is the command, steps, how do you connect to it. There is an SH concept, a Linux concept behind this, which we will learn tomorrow. For now, just follow these steps. Open the SH client. What is a SH client? Git bash is an example of SH client. You install Git yesterday, right? You know Git bash. Do you all know Git bash, whoever using Windows? I
Yes,
want
we
responses from everyone. If you are in the class, make sure you are listening and you are responding. I don't want to call the name, so you guys can respond voluntarily. If I don't have response, I will have to call the names. I need the sessions interactive. So yeah, that's the SSH client. Git bash is an example of SSH client. Git bash or putty. These are the different examples. Mobex term. These are the examples of SSH clients. I'll talk about those tomorrow again. Just understand there's an SSH client like Git bash. For Mac, it is the terminal. So open the SSH client. Let's follow those steps. Oh, sorry. Okay, this is my terminal. Mac terminal. You can go for git bash. Then locate your private file. Means you should go to the location of the PEM file you download. Do you remember whenever you created a key pair, it's downloaded, right? So that is present in downloads. I should see it as yeah, here it is, demo.pem, right? So I have that PEM file in this downloads folder. So go to that folder. Okay, and then you have to run this command, provide these permissions. What is this and all we will learn, like I said, just run those commands. This is nothing but providing right permissions to this file. We are going to learn this concept. So just run this and then connect to your instance with this public DNS. Means you can just come to this one, fourth step. I mean, this is the fourth step. That's all. It will prompt for confirmation yes or no. Give yes. That's all, you are connected. Do you see you got the prompt? Right? Like here in the browser, you got it. You got connected from your terminal. That's all. These are the first most widely used steps you have to go through. Right? You can run any commands. And if you notice here, this is the private IP of the EC2 instance. Whenever you create an EC2 instance, it will have public IP and private IP. Public IP or public DNS is for external communication. This is the public IP or public DNS. External communication means if anyone want to connect to this from outside AWS, like from my Windows, from my laptop, I want to connect to it. Obviously, I will use public IP, this one or this one, public IP for connections from outside. For internal communication, this is the private IP. Sorry, this is the public IP and this is the public DNS. This is the private IP. So once it is connected, it will be showing the private IP and the default user with which it is connected is EC2 user. EC2 user is the default user present on these machines, and with that default user, you will be connected to it, right? So these are the two ways to connect from any SSH client or from the browser. These are all available on the lab, right? If you go to the lab, you have all of these steps documented, because this is very important to get started with your lab, right? Just let me quickly show you those pages. Lab assignments. There should be document with the lab setup also. Git, maybe it is in the Git. Okay, here it is. You should go here, not under lab setup. Go to the Google Drive. Here it is. Okay, lab setup on AWS. Right here it is. All the steps, whatever you have to do. Like the first one, EC2 instance creation, browser-based connection, AWS instance connection using Git bash on Windows, right? These are the things you have to do. And there is one more thing, one more way to connect. Can I proceed? Got it? Where the
Yes, yes.
documents are? Okay. Now, the other way is, like I told you, right? If you are connecting from Mac, you have the, okay, SSH client is terminal we use. There might be others I'm not aware of, but as a terminal is the SSH client on Mac we would be using. If you know anything else, any other SSH clients on Mac you can use. On Windows, there are different SSH clients. Like Git bash is one such, Git bash, and you can also use something called putty, mobexterm, and so on, right? So this terminal uses PEM file, correct? We have located the PEM file, gone to the location of PEM file, run those commands on Mac. Similarly on Windows also, this git bash uses PEM. Putty, mobexterm are also some softwares which you can download. Even those download links, the steps are available here. You might be asking, git bash is there, why do you need putty or mobexterm? Because there are people who are used to it. There might be people who will be using putty. These are all different SSH clients. So for them, I'm just showing you this. So if you just go here, here if you open this document, you have all the steps here, like how to download, how to download the putty. Go to putty.org and how to download it. You have all of those things, right? So including the screenshots are available, how to use putty and all. So, so if anyone are using it, yes, they are good to go. So putty or mobexterm you can use, but putty and mobexterm cannot use PEM file. They need PPK file, means same file in different format called putty private key file, PPK file. But it's giving us PEM file. How do you generate PPK file? Actually, if you want to use it during the creation of the key pair itself, like if you remember, we just have gone here and we just have created a new key pair. And so do you see here options? You can choose PPK also. See here. Select this also so that you will use it for putty. But I would suggest to go with PEM, because if you download it PEM, you can later convert it in and create PPK. But if you create PPK, it's not reversible, right? So I would suggest you to go with the PEM format only, later on convert it. How to convert it? You would be needing something called PuttyGen. Download a software called PuttyGen. Even how to download is available in those documents. So download that PuttyGen, putty generator, then convert this PEM file to PPK and follow the steps so that you can connect from putty or mobexterm. Am I clear? Don't get confused. These are different softwares which uses PPK. So we got PEM file. To convert this PEM file to PPK, we have used PuttyGen. This is only if you want to use putty or mobexterm. Those are different interfaces which are very good and you have a lot of comfort and so many options with this. But it's again up to you. You could spend some time and I would suggest to go with mobexterm. It will provide you launching multiple tabs on the same window kind of. So you can slowly get to that. If you are using terminal or git bash, no need of conversion. You just go with the PEM file and connect. So that's how you should connect it. So, okay, fine. We are all connected. Now it's a time to get started with Linux basics. Good to go. Any more questions from anyone? This browser-based one, like I said, it's instance one. Yes, please.
Yeah, what is the session manager in the connection side? You showed, right? When you connect, showing session manager.
It is about like SSM agent. You will have connect to your without SSH keys a Bastion host. Like if you want to create some jump server kind of, it's a different thing where you will be using some keys, AWS management keys to connect.
Okay, jump server means this is another kind of a
You have to connect to the actual server, but you don't have access directly. You will be connecting it via Jump server.
Okay, got
You
it.
don't worry
One,
about it. We haven't used this at all. We will not be
okay.
using this. Hmm. Okay. So now that we are connected to the EC2 instance, let's go with some basics. It got disconnected. Let me connect back. So I'm logged in as a regular user. First, let me go with the very basic commands. Like you all know PWD, present working directory or the current directory. So I am in this home directory of EC2 user. Every user, like whenever you create some user or the default users will have some directory under this directory called home, right? So there's a home directory and home directory will be represented with this, like it's a tilde, which means it's a home directory. Okay, and if you want to do ls, it will list the files. There's nothing. Let me create some directory. Mkdir demo is the directory name. Now do ls. Yes, you have something. Now you want to go to demo. cd demo. The advantage of one of the advantages of using Mobex term is on the left hand side you can see that folder structure in the tree view, right? So if anyone is new to Linux, so that will be a kind of comfort for them. Anyhow, see now I am in the demo directory. This is the path, right? Even in Windows, of course, it will have the different kind of slash, but yeah, this is the path you see here, right? You are in the demo folder. ls of demo. Okay, let me create some file. How do you create file? You may use touch to create the file or else some editor. Vim is an editor, right? Listen carefully. So Vim is an editor. Like you have Notepad, Notepad++, so on in Windows. You have Vim in Linux. Vim or VI. Those are the different editors. I'm using Vim and the file name. This will, if file is not present, it will create the file and launch the file so that you can edit. See, file is created and you are in the edit mode of it. And at the bottom, you would be seeing it as, just a second. So escape I means you will be seeing like insert means it's in the insert mode. Escape I will take you to the insert mode. Now you may type anything. And again, if you want to come out of insert mode, you are done. Again, escape. See here, insert is gone. Colon, WQ, exclamatory. Means it will save and close this file. So now two files are there. One is created with a touch, another one with a Vim. And if you want to just see the content, cat is like to read the content of the file, to see the content of the file. So that's how you create the files using VI editor. How to delete the lines, how to use VI editor. VI means not only just inserting, right? Deletion and all. So if you want to know more, here are those commands. Of course, we'll be using it as we progress. Lab assignments, Linux. Here are all those basic commands explained, right? ls list the directories and all. There should be something with the Vim editor. Vim editor is not provided here. We'll update them. Okay, we were continuously working on them. From last 1 month, the LMS is updated a lot. So that's why something might not be updated there. If something is not updated there, just come here. Come to this Google Drive link available on your recordings. Go to the folders here. Here are those documents available. See, edit with Vim editor. Okay, if you just go here, you can see how to work with Vim. Escape I, WQ, Vim, lot of things here. So how to edit with edit the Vim. Edit the files with Vim. So that's how you can avail the help. Okay. So I have created some files. This is how we can create, and we can save the files, and listed 2 files. Let's suppose I just want to copy a file. These are the basic things, right, on any operating system. This is not DevOps specific. If you want to work with Windows, these are the basic things we do. So let's suppose I want to copy a file. So I want to copy this file to and create new file. Copy file3.txt. See, CP is to copy file2 and create a new file called file3 in the same folder. See, you got file3, right? That's how you can copy. If you want to remove any file, okay, let me make sure it has the same content. It's a copy. Yes, it is. Now, if you want to delete, remove file3, right? These are the things you can do from the CLI. And always choose using CLI. Right, this is always preferable because CLI is more efficient, and this is what we use in reality, so that if you want to manage 100 files or huge number of things, that's possible through CLI, will not be possible through GUI. So always prefer this. And if you want to come out of the directory, CD ... means one level back. Like in Windows, if you want to just go back to some other folder, let's say this is something, if I just want to, okay, let me go to desktop. Suppose you want to go back, right? Or else here, let me go to this story 2. I want to go back. Go back is the story 2 is on the desktop. So I'm onto the desktop. You click this back button, right? Same is the case here. Going one level up is through CD ... So I just came out of this folder, like I'm onto the EC2, because demo is inside EC2 user folder. EC2 is the folder name here. This is the path, right? Hope you are all following.
Yes, yes, sir.
Now I have demo. Now if you want to delete this directory, and also I want to delete the contents of this rm-rf demo, right? So the directory is gone, including the content. So those are the simple file operations like creating, removing, deleting, copying. There's also something like move, which we'll do. Again, I'm creating a directory. Let's say sample this time. Go to sample. And here I want to create a file this time, touch. I'm using touch. File is created, but it wouldn't be having any content. If you see file1, nothing. You have another very basic command, echo. Echo is like a print command. It will just print the line whichever you have placed. Now it's printing it. Now I want to put this output of echo, means that line, into file1. You can use this. That's a redirection arrow, a single redirection arrow, and the file name, so that the content would be placed into this file. Right? That's another way you can put some content. Anyway, so this is how I'm editing, and I would do all of the things here. This is preferable. But let's suppose tomorrow I'm going to have some manifest files of Kubernetes. I want to see those files. I want to use VS Code editor for this Linux. Can I connect my local VS Code editor with this machine? Obviously, you can do it. Like, launch your VS Code editor. Till now, all these files, git demo is my Windows machine, right? But now I want to connect this local VS Code editor to a remote. You can do that. First, go for Control Shift P, which will launch this command palette. Open the configuration file as such. Configuration file means I'm connecting to this in EC2 instance through SSH from my VS Code editor. Launch this. Actually, you should create this file. This is also available in the Google Drive under Git. I will rearrange them. Okay, after this class, under the Git, you have it. VS Code download and connection to EC2 instance. Right? This is the file you should place it. All the steps were there. And by the way, yes, before that, you should first install a plugin. Go to extension, install, search with SSH. See, this is the remote SSH plugin which you should install. It's not showing me install because it's already installed. Once you install this plugin, you can do all of that. So put this, and now here you should put the path of the PEM file. Okay, path of the PEM file is actually, I'm having it is in the downloads. Downloads, and it is demo.pem. Am I correct?
Yes.
Also
But
here,
that is easy to user, right?
yeah,
Your user Preethi late
this is the
something
path
download.
of the PEM file in my local computer. And
Okay.
default user is EC2 user. The host name, the public DNS we should place. Go to your EC2 instance. Under details, select the instance. Under the details, you will see the public DNS. So always replace, make sure you have the right one here. Done. That's all. This is your configuration file. You can create it under users, whatever. I have it in the downloads. So perfect. Now, again do Control Shift P. Again, this command palette opens. Earlier we selected this, but now connect to the host. It will ask you AWS server is the host name I have given. So that host name will be shown here, connect. So it should establish a connectivity. See, done, you are connected. You can go and say confirm allow, and see it's showing the prompt already in the terminal. You can open the folder. I'm opening this EC2 user folder. Allow. I'm all set. These are from different things, like different systems connected. Now you should see sample folder. Do you remember just now we created it, right? You can run any
Yes.
commands here. You can go, instead now you can also create files like this rather than we made it here, right? File to hello. Same as like now ls, go to sample ls, right? So, or else if you still always, this should be preferable. Huge file modifications when you have, you can go there, right? Otherwise, for all Linux commands, better you use this git bash or the terminal. There's such clients. If you need to modify huge files, kind of, you can also do this, which we'll be using in our later classes. So VS Code editor connecting to a remote machine. Now, okay, I have got these files. We have seen copy. Let's suppose I want to move the file. What is the difference between move and copy? Let's see. I want to move this file to one level up. I want to put it outside sample folder. So tilde means home directory of EC2 user. I would like to place here, move this file as this. So ls, it's not there. It might be moved. Just do cd dot dot and you can see it here. So here you can see. So here you can see ls, it's only here. I'm using this so that you could also see here, so that for anyone new to Linux, you can see the folder is moved back one level up. The file is moved. Here is the file. In the sample, you don't have. That's what move does. So to visualize this kind of Windows Explorer, the Explorer on the left-hand side also, you can use this VS Code editor, or else you can also experience the same in Mobextem. You will see the Explorer here this way. So that if anyone new to Linux can have that kind of ease with this. Okay, so that's how you delete the files. You move the files, delete, copy, and all. And I would preferably using this. Okay. So these are the very basics. Again, we have lot many things to cover, like users, user permissions, all of that coming for the next class. I'll show you a few more things. There is a standard file under etc. It's called OS release. This is the predefined or else standard file already available on the system. If you want to know which kind of Linux distribution is the system you are working on, cat that file. See, if you remember, we have created it as Amazon Linux too, which is CentOS Red Hat based one, right? You will see these details. CentOS Red Hat based are more widely used, and that's the reason we are using it. And uname if you want to see the details of the system. And ls CPU will give you the CPU details of the system. It's a one virtual CPU, right? These are some basic commands. Memory, 1 gigs of memory, right? And then we
Yes.
have users. We have to talk about users, default users, admin user, and home directories and permissions. These are the things we have to talk about. I think you can set up the lab and get started with this. We shall take up from here in the next class. Any other questions? Anything else from your end?
Home directory is nothing but a C drive in Windows. That's what you're saying.
Like whenever you have a user created, home directory will be created for that user. This home directory will be under home. This is the
Okay.
actually the parent or the root in Linux. Like you have C drive, D drive, whatever drives. Root
Yeah.
or slash is the parent directory in Windows. Under this, you have already home. Whenever there is a user directory will be created like this. Suppose you have created a user called Tom. Automatically, a directory like this will be created, which is a home directory for Tom. So that whatever they do, whatever, if you do installations as these users, all of that will be processed in this directory, right? So that's a home directory. Like we'll be talking about this when we start with users, user management in the next class.
Mm.
That's a home directories. We will create users. We'll talk about this home directories, user groups, permissions. When you create users and groups, that's where like permissions makes more sense. So we'll talk about those things as well. Today I have shown you just creating some file, deleting a file, inserting something into the file using Vim editor or using touch commands, copying, moving, the very basics we have dealt with. Tomorrow we'll talk about the admin user, primary groups, secondary groups, permissions, and so on. Users and groups will be started today as well as the file permissions. Everything will be under root. Like this is the parent directory. Everything will be under root. So under root, under home, you have EC2 user. You may go to this root. Sorry. The parent directory. This is the parent directory. Actually, everything will be under this. See, home directory, etc directory, bin folders, even the root folder, everything will be here. This is called the parent. This is your Linux operating system.
Yeah. Similar directory model is not present in the Windows side, right? That's what.
Yes, of course. It's different, right? You have
Mm.
different drives.
Yeah. Yeah.
C drive.
Home
Here there will be only
equivalent to
one.
Windows.
Mm.
Yeah. Home equivalent to Windows. What is that one? It is C drive or it is my PC, whatever.
Yeah, they'll be different in Windows.
And we are mapping this directories to Windows. Then whatever. How do you map
Those are
in?
two different operating systems, right? Why do you want to map it? Like, what do we want to do?
To understand in little bit more. Yes.
Just understand that you have different drives or different folders in Windows. Here it's only one, there's a parent. And in the
Here there is no drives concept like C drive, D drive in Linux.
See, don't compare those two. That's a different thing. You have different drives there. Here you will not have drives and all. It's a root. You can't compare those to operating system. Windows administration is different from Linux. The operating system structure would be different. But what we are relating here is the like when you launch into an operating system, what do you want firstly? You want to create some files or open the files or do some navigation kind of. So that's what we were getting used to here, trying to get used. The structure and all would be different. Any other questions in the topics covered today? Today we have gone through the very basics, like what is an operating system, virtualization, and the introduction to cloud, the very basic intro to cloud. And we have seen creating a free AWS account and launching this EC2 instance, right? So we are creating the EC2, this a free account, and we are creating this EC2 instance. Out of this, 750 hours of the instances are free per month, right? Up to 12 months, like it's a 1 year free account. Up to 12 years, every month you will have 750 hours of usage for free. So this will be pretty much enough for you to use, and it's running now. Once you are done, like if you are done for the day, you can just stop the instance. Don't terminate the instance. It's telling you here. Terminate means delete. It will delete also. Stop means it is just stopped from running so that your hours will not be calculated and you can start it whenever you want to use it. Tomorrow I can just come here and start the instance. It will be running. I can connect and continue the work. That's what you should do. And each time you launch, public IP will be changing. That's perfectly all right, and that's how it works. Public IP will be changing, which doesn't do any impact. It's the same instance. Private IP remains same. All the configurations, everything will be there. Just the IP changes. You don't need to worry about it. Private IP still remains same. This is the one which is stable. And once you start it, you can go for I did not start it. Once I started, you can go for connect and connect to the instance and start working.
How can I know that how much hours is still left in this month?
You
Is there
can
any
go
way?
for your billing
Mhm.
and cost management. Just a second, I stop the screen sharing. So here you will have the cost explorer or cost estimation, free tier under cost and usage analysis. So here you can see how much of usage is left, forecast usage, current usage, free tiers left, all of that you can see. 18 services I'm using, out of which mine is different. Mine is not a free account. So it already beyond 1 year. So don't worry about mine. You have to check here the details. Free tier usage limit is shown here. 30 GB for free for 12 months of usage. We should be seeing the usage. Here is the current usage, right? It should be 30 GB. Here I am all consumed the free tier usage, right? Forecast is 36. Here it is 1 GB is at 0 GB. Pipelines 100 minutes are always free. I have used only 25 minutes. 5 users are allowed for code commit. I have used only 1 user. 2000 requests are there for S3. I have used only 247. So that's how you can see, right? In the cost explorer, cost and usage analysis, you have cost explorer or free tier where you can check these details. Cost explorer is your forecasted usage. That's what it shows, right? You can search for your service again to go back. Virtual servers on the cloud. Virtual machines.
Yes, think.
Preeti, I have a doubt, but it is with Git.
And one more thing,
I
1 second, may I know,
yeah, sure.
Rashmi, 1 second. So one more thing is sometimes what we do is we created instance, but you might be checking that on another region, you will not find it. See, I have created my instances on Mumbai. Somehow after the last Cost Explorer, I landed up in this US region. So I don't see them. So don't worry about it. You have to choose the right region, right? Only there you will see them. Yes, Rashmi, go ahead, please.
Preeti, I was trying to connect local repository with remote using Git push origin main,
Okay.
but I am getting an error. It says source ref spec main does not match any.
Source?
I will share the error message.
Okay. Main origin. It might be main. Do git push origin main, not master. On remote, it might be named as master, main.
I tried that way. Git push
Okay.
origin main.
Okay, you can share your screen then.
Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm speaking on mute. Can you do git status? Okay. Now try to push. It's a master, right? Git push origin master.
I tried to create manually on the remote. So branch name was main, and
Can
I
you git push origin master once? Allow. Continue. Authorize visual code. Password for your GitHub. Allow. It's asking for authentication.
yeah, but actually earlier I did not get that window. Maybe because right now, like in this attempt we use master. That's why.
You should use the master, whichever branches you have here to push. And also, like sometimes it will prompt for command line, or else if you have those plugins configured, it will give you a pop-up window. Authentication from the browser itself.
Okay. So
So
this is like we should use the branch name on the remote, right? Here, git push origin remote branch name.
it should be, you should be using the one which is available in local.
Local. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. Got
On
it.
remote, can you just check it on remote? Go to the remote where it has pushed.
Here, this is the sample project.
Refresh the page. Click the drop down. Master branch is pushed. Okay.
Okay.
Right. This is the one there in local. It's pushed. It will be pushed with the same name.
Okay.
All right then. So please go with the hands-on. We'll continue from here tomorrow. Thank you all. Good day. Bye, everyone.